Hey, you guys. Hello, hello, hello. So I'm back, and it's it's Wednesday. Do you know that this Saturday Russell Brand is going to be in town? Our buddy Russell. I'm pretty excited to go see Russell. He's, to me, he's so much more than an entertainer. I'm a big fan of his book, Recovery, and yes, he's a stand-up comedian, that's for sure, but this guy is making a difference on the planet. He really is. He's I think his primary purpose is to help people, and I see it every day in his videos and his podcasts and of course and the books he's written. So pretty cool. Russell Brand this weekend, Saturday night, and there's tickets available still. So just wanted to tell you about that. Russell Brand. So I've been reading this book, The Power of Now, and it's been amazing. I can't begin to tell you how lifted up I've been as a result of this book. I'm just going to finish this chapter 7 today. It's only 4 or 5 pages, but I'm here by myself, and so I'm going to get at it pretty quickly because it's so really people could come in and I got to go and like I have a store. I got to sell shit. Anyway, so yeah, Russell Brand, man, Saturday night. Just do it. Be there. It's going to be great, and it's in support too. It's sponsored by our friends at Fresh Start Recovery Center, and Fresh Start is an amazing support in our city to people with addiction and alcoholism and problems, and it helps families and men and women and families in recovery. So I'm a big supporter of theirs. I think that sometimes, many times, people need a stable environment to get back on their feet, and being in a recovery center helps that to happen. Stable environment. So yeah. Okay, here we go. We're on page 140, the true nature of space and time. Like, just another light subject, right? The true nature of space and time. Here we go. Now consider this, he says. Consider this. What I didn't do, I'm going to actually plug in my mic. I have a mic here, and this mic makes a difference, I think. So I'm just going to plug it in. I forgot. There we go. There we go. So Eckhart Tolle, Power of Now, page 140, the true nature of space and time. Now consider this, he says. If there were nothing but silence, it wouldn't exist. It wouldn't exist for you. You wouldn't know what it is. Only when sound appears does silence come into being. Similarly, if there were only space without any objects in space, it wouldn't exist for you. Imagine yourself as a point of consciousness floating in the vastness of space. No stars, no galaxy, no emptiness. Suddenly space wouldn't be vast anymore. It would not be there at all. There would be no speed, no movement from here to there. At least 2 points of reference are needed for distance and space to come into being. Space comes into being the moment the one becomes two, and as two become the 10,000 things, as Lao Tzu calls the manifested world, space becomes more and more vast. So world and space arise simultaneously. I love that. It says here nothing. Nothing could be without space. Yet space is nothing. So nothing could be without space, and space is nothing. Before the universe came into being, before the Big Bang, if you like, there wasn't a vast empty space waiting to be filled. There was no space, as there was no thing. There was only the unmanifested, the one. And when the one became the 10,000 things, suddenly space seemed to be there and enabled the many to be. Okay. Where did it come from? Was it created by God to accommodate the universe? Of course not. Space is no thing, so it was never created. Go out into a clear night and look up into the sky. The thousands of stars you can see with the naked eye are no more than an infinitesimal fraction of what there is. Over 100 billion galaxies can already be detected with the most powerful telescopes. Each galaxy an island universe with billions of stars. Yet, what is even more awe-inspiring is the infinity of space. The infinity of space itself, the depth and stillness that allows all of that magnificence to be. Nothing could be more awe-inspiring and majestic than the inconceivable vastness and stillness of space. And yet, where is it? Emptiness. What is it? It's emptiness, vast emptiness. What appears to us as space in our universe perceived through the mind and the senses of the unmanifested itself, externalized, it is the body of God. I'm going to read that again. What appears to us as space in our universe perceived through the mind and the senses of the unmanifested itself, externalized, it is the body of God. And the greatest miracle is this. And the greatest miracle is this, that stillness and vastness that enables the universe to be is not just out there in space. It is also within you. That stillness and vastness that enables the universe to be is not just out there in space. It is also within you. When you are utterly and totally present, you encounter it as the still inner space of no mind. Within you, it is vast in depth, not in extension. Spatial extension is ultimately a misconception of infinite depth. Spatial extension is ultimately a misconception of infinite depth, an attribute of the one transcendental reality. An attribute of the one transcendental reality. According to Einstein, he says, space and time are not separate. I don't really agree. I don't really understand that. But, this is a question, sorry. So this is a question that one of his students asking him. According to Einstein, space and time are not separate. I don't really understand it, but I think he's saying that time is the fourth dimension of space. He calls it the space-time continuum. Yes, Eckhart says, what you perceive externally as space and time are ultimately illusion, but they contain a core of truth. They are the two essential attributes of God, infinite and eternal, infinity and eternity, perceived as if they had an external existence outside you. Within you, both space and time have an inner equivalent that reveals their true nature, as well as your own. Whereas space is the stillness, infinitely deep realm of no mind, the inner equivalent of time is presence, awareness of the eternal now. Remember that there is no distinction between them. When space and time are realized within as the unmanifested, no mind and presence. External, talking about time and space is really difficult for me. Let's try this again. When space and time are realized within as the unmanifested, no mind and presence, external space and time continue to exist for you, but they become much less important. The world, too, continues to exist for you, but it will not bind you anymore. Hence, the ultimate purpose of the world lies not within the world, but in the transcendence of the world. Just as you would not be conscious of space if there were no objects in space, the world is needed for the unmanifested to be realized. You may have heard the Buddhist saying, If there were no illusion, there would be no enlightenment. It is through the world and ultimately through you that the unmanifested knows itself. You are here to enable that divine purpose of the universe to unfold. That is how important you are. Seems like a bit of an assumption, but I'll go with it. Next subtitle is Conscious Death. Apart from dreamless sleep, which I mentioned already, there is one other involuntary portal. It opens up briefly at the time of physical death. Even if you have missed all the other opportunities for spiritual realization during your lifetime, one last portal will open for you immediately after the body has died. There are countless accounts by people who had a visual expression of this portal as radiant light, and then returned from what is commonly known as a near-death experience. Many of them also spoke of a sense of blissful serenity and deep peace. In the Tibetan Book of the Dead, it is described as the luminous splendor of the colorless light of emptiness, which, it says, is your own true self. This portal opens up only very briefly. Unless you have already encountered the dimension of the unmanifested in your lifetime, you will likely miss it. Most people carry too much residual resistance, too much fear, too much attachment to sensory experiences, too much identification with the manifested world. So they see the portal, turn away in fear, and then lose consciousness. Most of what happens after that is involuntary and automatic. Eventually there will be another round of birth and death. Their presence wasn't strong enough yet for the conscious immortality. Their presence wasn't strong enough yet for the conscious immortality. So going through this portal does not mean an alienation. Alienation's a question. H-A-R, thank love. As with all other portals, your radiant true nature remains, but not the personality. In any case, whatever is real or of true value in your personality is your true nature shining through. This is never lost. Nothing that is of value, nothing that is real is ever lost. Approaching death and death itself, the dissolution of the physical form, is always a great opportunity for spiritual realization. This opportunity is tragically missed most of the time, since we live in a culture that is almost totally ignorant of death, as it is almost totally ignorant of anything that truly matters. Ooh, bit of a slap, eh? But I see that. Every portal is a portal of death. Every portal is a portal of death, the death of the false self. When you go through it, you cease to derive your identity from your psychological and mind-made form. You then realize that death is an illusion, just as your identification with form was an illusion. The end of illusion. That's all that death is. It is painful only as long as you cling to the illusion. It's painful only as long as you cling to the illusion. Wow. That's the end of chapter 7. I know it's a short read, but that's it. I just have this next chapter I have to save for tomorrow for a long read. It is called Enlightened Relationships. Who's interested in enlightened relationships? Whoa! Seems like a contradiction, but we'll see what he has to say about that. It does seem like a contradiction, because my thought of that is that relationship is like it has to be so light, so lightly held, if held at all. And so maybe that's what he's going to say. Lightly held, enlightened relationships. Okay, I want to remind you again, I'm going to talk about it a lot this next couple of days. Russell Brand on Saturday night. Really, it is the show. We must go. Anyway, there's tickets available, and you can. I think there's a code. I'll bet if you go online and look for codes, there's going to be a code for a 2-for-1 code. I've seen the 2-for-1 code that's available. And if you even go to the Jubilee, they have a 2-for-1 code at the Jubilee. I saw it earlier in the week. So get your tickets. Come to Russell Brand. Yes. Okay, love you guys. And I'm excited. Off to be with friends tonight and doing good work. I'm just certain there's going to be lots of really good stuff happening this evening. So love you guys. And get this book. It's a friggin' good book. Holy Toledo. Okay, love you. Cheers. Oh, follow us on YouTube. And we also have a Patreon channel. I think it's listed here. Or on, I think it is a Patreon channel. You can contribute to this as we move into the new realm of what we're doing, which will be focused more on service than on product, I think. We're going to be very open to support in any way that our community can do that. So Patreon is one of those ways. Okay, love you. Thanks. Cheers.